Our museum in Toledo came out of the Gilded Age and was the idea of Edward Drummond Libby and Florence Scott Libby. And that idea was that in an industrial city in the Midwest, you could put a museum there and you could gather up objects from all over the world. And by doing that, creating that global history of design, you could actually increase the quality of manufacture, but you could elevate the society. You could have people ambitious about what they could do in the world and what humanity can do.
My earliest memory is probably as a student, and we would come here and take tours carrying our own little seats around, really being overwhelmed by the scale and how cool the museum was.
My mother grew up in the Old West End, and when my father came to town, their early dates, they used to wander the grounds of the museum, being very playful, and they would take their shoes off and wade in the fountain.
First black and white ball. The Geary building was brand new. It was on all the different levels, and we had a black and white movie going on the museum wall, and it was quite special.
My earliest memory is bringing my children to the museum on Saturday for the art classes, and I was having a great time just wandering the museum wall.
When I was in school, we went to the museum all the time. It was part of our education, and I think it's important that it still be part of the education of young people.
Art education is a broader notion, but if you think of it as meaning this is sensory education and how we need to recognize that we still need to live that human moment, we need to be able to connect. Art is a significant medium through which that can be delivered.
But I think now we've grown beyond that it is more than just a concept of teaching people about doing and making and learning about art. It's now a focus of using art to teach education.
The education is what brings the museum to life. It's a way that helps people appreciate art. It helps them take art and help it become a part of their life.
We're a small community, which means we can make a huge difference for people by this becoming an even more of a community center.
A community museum, a free museum, a very important one in the scheme of museums in the U.S. We're lucky to have it in a city like Toledo.
The museum is sort of the center focus of the community. I mean, everyone claims it as theirs. You need the community. Otherwise, you're just a building with art.
And see all parts of the community just coming together and enjoying something together, and the bonds that can be built through that, and the greater appreciation, not only of the museum and the things that we can all learn from that, but of how we can relate to each other.
The board has realized that we have to support the community. They are the future of the museum.
It goes beyond the museum, and I think it's really about the community and what it can become. And without support, at some point, the finances of the museum can become a challenge.
I recall a statement that was made by George Stevens, who was the longtime but second director of this museum. And he said that the whole purpose of the museum was to be available to everybody, whether you use it or not. And having a museum in the city was good for the city.
The reality is that we are a free institution, so we have to have support from our community in order to do the things that have made us world class.
There's probably been 3 or 4 times in the museum's 100-year-plus history that have been the most important. This is one of them.
All of us have to support it with our donations, but what a nice idea to be able to do that and at the same time welcome the museum to people who are unable to support it financially.
This is a private museum. It's a museum that provides free admission. It's a museum that doesn't have a levy funding. It's a museum that depends on people who can, supporting it so that people who cannot can come here every day free. All those donors are like an umbrella that protects us from, well, rough weather. the rather of economy, and just allows us to continue to be this great museum. So I thank all our donors for being that for us. I thank them deeply. This has been a wonderful journey, and it's not over.